Hello and welcome, everyone. It's so wonderful to see participants from all over the world joining us today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. On behalf of Contact North, I'm pleased to welcome you to today's webinar, How Faculty Can Harness Generative AI for Enhanced Learning, Part 4, Best of AI Pedagogy. It will be a great show today. My name is Sarah Gover. I'm the Director of Teach Online and the Online Learning News at Contact North, and I'll be your host for this session. Before we begin, I would like to start with our provincial land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that Contact North's work and the work of our community partners takes place on traditional Indigenous territories across the province. We are grateful to be able to work and live on these lands. We express our gratitude to the First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples who have cared for these territories since time immemorial and who continue to strengthen communities across Ontario. So before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. We are using Zoom webinar today, so participants' microphones and cameras will remain off. As you can see, the chat is open, but please remember to select everyone in the drop-down menu when posting. If you have any questions, kindly use the Q&A tool located at the bottom of your screen, and we'll have time at the end of the session to address those. And you can also use the upvote on any questions that resonate with you by clicking on the thumbs up icon. Live captioning is available. To activate it, simply click the oh my goodness, I'm getting ahead of myself. Simply click the closed caption icon at the bottom of your screen, and I'm just going to start that there now, so you should be able to have that available. After the webinar is completed, I will post the recording and presentation slides on teachonline.ca. I'll share the link in the chat momentarily, but you'll also receive the link through the Zoom email system in 24 hours. All right, that's it from me. Now to our main event. It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Curtis Bonk, Professor at the School of Education and Adjunct Professor, School of Informatics at Indiana University. So welcome back, Kurt. It's always a pleasure to have you, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Go IU. So thank you, Sarah, for the wonderful introduction. As always, it's a pleasure to be here today with all of you and to have my friend Ramesh in India share this event with all the people of India. Thank you, Ramesh. And thank you for the others, Alex in Egypt at the American University of Cairo, who shared it with his friends as well. I appreciate Mark Kircher coming in from Finland and all the other people in the eLearn executive board with me, Chris Devers and others, Tom Reeves and so forth from the board. I appreciate my former colleague, well, graduate student colleague from long, long ago, Okwa Lee in Korea, has joined us today as well. Sung-hee Yeo from Daegu, Korea, my former visiting scholar. Many visiting scholars who have been at Indiana are joining us today. I see Fariel Gadaj with us from Lebanon, I believe she's in Lebanon. And I could go on and on. We've got people from Botswana, American Samoa, Chile, Colombia, India, said before, Egypt, Fiji, Finland, Ireland, Indonesia, Pakistan, New Zealand, the Netherlands, UK, UAE, Uruguay, Zimbabwe, Thailand. So many people from Thailand signed up. And Singapore. It's great to have all of you here. I know Renee in Singapore has signed up, and many, many others have. Lori in Taiwan. Sanjay Mishra, I want to thank him in Vancouver for sharing with the Commonwealth of Learning. If you've not been to col.org, do check it out. It's like Contact North. They offer many things free. So Contact North does a wonderful job doing webinars to teach people how to teach online and what it's like to teach with technology. The Commonwealth of Learning is similar in that regard on the other side of Canada, over in Vancouver. So Contact North in Ontario, but becoming global. The COL, Commonwealth of Learning, has many books and reports, conferences, journals, events, micro-credentials, partnering with Athabasca University, and so forth and so on. There's so many people to thank. My list goes on and on. I'm sorry I can't thank you all, but believe me, it is wonderful to be with all of you this morning in Indiana, at night in Korea, in Singapore, and other parts of the world, China. Thank you for coming, Lena, in China. There's a couple of books I'll just share with you real quickly since we've got a full screen right now. Teaching with AI, a practical guide to a New Learning Era of Human Learning by Jose Bowen and Edward Watson. Highly recommend this book. It came out a year or so ago. These other two books are thin, they're on Amazon, they're self-published. I didn't like this one as well, ChatGPT for Teachers. If you're in teacher ed, maybe it would be useful, but I didn't find many things. But I found more things in this one, 80 Ways to Use ChatGPT in the Classroom by Stan Scrubbat. Anyways, both of those are thin little books, and you might want to check those out. There are others that I'll be talking about during this episode with all of you today. What else do I want to cover? My notes. The slides are posted at trainingshare.com. They're also posted to this website for this session for Contact North. The event itself is being recorded. Within hours, it'll be posted at the Contact North website. I'll convert it to a YouTube video and make that available. I'll put it at my Training Share site or just write to me. If there are any articles, any technical reports that I mentioned from the governments around the world during this talk, and if you'd like a copy, just send me an email at cjbonk@iu.edu, and maybe I'll just put it in the chat window. They've given us new emails at IU. You can use my old one as well, cjbonk@indiana.edu. They'll both work for a while yet. So again, welcome. And this is the fourth in a series. So the first three we went through and used my model, the tech variety model, and there's a free book behind that. I'll come back to that. And my Empowering Online Learning book with the R2D2 model. I covered AI within the two frameworks of those books. Session one, that was in November 2023. And a few months later, I presented on the use of AI within a frameworks of creative thinking, critical thinking, cooperative learning, and motivation. And the third session was from very generic methods to very specific methods. This one will be a conglomeration, a synthesis across the first three. It is rather difficult to get all the content within one session today within 1 hour, but I think we're going to do it. So we'll see. And again, the notes are posted up at trainingshare.com under archive talks. Both the PDFs of my slides and the originals are there for downloading as well. Use them as you will. You can thank me if you want to. They'll be continually updated. So let's see if I can actually share these with all of you today. And we'll go to the first slide, and I'll ask Sarah to confirm that you all see that. And then we can get moving into the first part of
Yep,
this.
we can see it, but you're not in presentation mode. There we go.
Yeah, so maybe I have to hide my floating panel a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe unhide. I can just show floating panel. Okay, all right. So we still see this. There's no black marks on here anywhere.
No, looks good.
So January 30th. January 30th. What is that? 1 month ago, a little over. The Digital Education Council had a nice report that came out discussing faculty sentiment about AI in education and student sentiment. 57% of faculty are now have a positive perception of AI in education. This is a constantly changing thing. 61% of faculty have used AI in teaching, whereas 2 years ago it was half of that. So things are changing. 64% think that significant, transformative change is coming in education. And if we think about all the possible things we can do with AI in our teaching and learning, there's hope. There's possibilities for transformative change. But we've got to change ourselves to become more critical in evaluating what comes out of the AI system and tools. The number one thing faculty are concerned about, 83% of faculty are concerned about critically evaluating AI output. And they're not just concerned about that, they're actually more concerned about the fact that they're not being trained. Only 6% of faculty think their institution has adequately trained them. If anyone thinks they've been adequately trained to integrate technology, put in the chat and just say yes. I'll see how many people say yes. Don't even bother saying no. I know it's the majority of you. What are the skills that are being looked at in this report that came out a month ago that educators need? Of course, it's the first one, facilitating students' critical thinking and learning skills. AI literacy, digital literacy, flexibility, okay, well, and adaptability, and expertise in ethics. And here we go. The fifth one is actually what we're doing today, AI pedagogy. So I'll give you a warm up. My first polling question will come up on the board here. This comes right from the new report from OpenAI that came out a week ago. OpenAI said, here's what's happening. We've surveyed thousands of people. So what are two of the top uses that young people, 18 to 24, are making of ChatGPT? Is it starting papers and projects, summarizing text, brainstorming, exploring topics, and editing writing? Look at that. Look at the choices. Wow. Look at it. Interesting what's happening here. So the number one answer thus far is summarizing text at almost 60% of you. Number two answer is tied between starting papers and editing writing. And if we look at, so exploring topics, not as much, the least amount is you think is brainstorming. So let's go show the poll a second here, Sarah. And we'll end the poll and share the results. And then we'll take the poll away. And we'll move on to show you the actual results from the survey from OpenAI. So they talked a lot about writing support, programming help, tutoring, but the number one answer was starting papers and projects. Number two and three is summarizing texts and brainstorming, but also it's being used as a research tool. Also, it's being used for all the reasons, kind of hard to read all these on the right-hand side, problem solving, creating surveys, exploring topics, organizing your schedule and all that. So here's a second warm-up question. U.S. higher education faculty, top two interests in using AI. What do you think they are? We've got various choices here. Generating examples and sources. Is it AI tutoring services for students that are having difficulty understanding concepts? Is it creating instructional materials? Is it presenting examples or steps? It's interesting. Again, wow. Okay. You guys are not in agreement with what the survey is telling us. That's very interesting. So far, the number one answer, 71% of you, we got 247 people here. We got almost half of the registered. Did we get to 550 registered, Sarah? I'm just curious. We did. Maybe we did. So now we can reveal the results here. Most people have filled this out. 71% said helping create instructional materials. 44% said generating additional examples. Those are the top two answers. So AI tutoring services, 29%. Presenting examples, 21%. And we've got finally, study tools, flashcards, 43%. So if we stop the sharing here, the actual survey says that it's just in this order from top to bottom. The number one answer is generating examples. Number two is AI tutoring service. Number three is instructional materials, which you said is number one. So that's rather interesting here. So if we look at the results, this is from Pearson. This is a new report from Pearson that came out in December, so 2 months ago. And you can read what they said at the Pearson report. This is available for free. If you download my slides, you get all the links, so you can download the reports as well or write to me. So the first webinar that I gave back in November of 2023, 15 months ago or so, how faculty can harness generative AI for enhanced learning, just as we're starting to come out of COVID, maybe sort of. Focus on learner motivation with the R2D2 model and the tech variety model, which are part of the two books I showed earlier. So if you want the R2D2 book, go to techvariety.com and download it today in Chinese or in English for free. Okay, warm-up question number 3. Did you attend any or all of my previous webinars? Not sure? Yes, one of them, two of them, three, all three of them? I'm just curious. So of the 248 people with us so far here today, 75% have not been here before, not been in one of my sessions. 24 people, 15% have been to one of them, 5% to two of them, 3 of you to all of them. The 3 people who have been to all of them, and plus this one, write me an email. I'll see if I can send you a book. I've got a few books. If you don't have a tech variety, if you don't have this book, if you've been to all of them, at least write me a note. Oh, there's 8 of you. I don't know if I have 8 books, but we'll see. Write me a note. Okay, she can reveal the results, Sarah. And yeah, 73%. This is a new thing for you. And we can stop the sharing here. 5%. 5% of you are, and 7% are almost all. Okay, so about 12% are consistently coming to my sessions. Here's the question I've been asking every session. I've changed it. I've changed the question. How often do you use ChatGPT and ChatPDF or Claude or Gemini or Microsoft Copilot or other generative AI tools every day? Lots of times a day, once a week, once a month, never. 2% of you are never, never, never. 7% are, no, I test it out once in a while. We can maybe give them a second or two more, and then we can reveal the results of this one as well. So nearly every day, or lots of times a day, over 50% of you combining those two together. So quite a bit of users are, but 3% no. Once or about 10% of you are not really using it much at all. That's fine. We'll hopefully give you some examples of how you might use it in this session. Going back to 2023, we are being inundated with all the news. And people are caught off guard in some ways. Colleges were caught off guard and started to hire for AI. Hundreds and hundreds of job announcements for AI, and there weren't enough people to fill those jobs. And of course, there were concerns about plagiarism and copyright and all these things we typically find every new wave that happens in the area of learning technologies. But the race is on. The race is on for people to hire, but the race is on to figure it out, how to integrate technology like Gen AI in our teaching. And we have to listen to the flowers out there, or flower. Flower Darby writes for the Chronicle of Higher Education, and she writes beautiful prose about how Northern Arizona faculty and other faculty around the world are integrating Gen AI and other emerging technologies. She found that 49% of college students back at the end of 2023 were using AI tools, where less than half of that, 22% of faculty were. Those numbers have changed over the past 15 months dramatically. So we'll come back to that and we'll have more data coming up here. That the people who built us ChatGPT created a report called Teaching with AI, featuring different faculty members, instructors around the globe using Gen AI like ChatGPT. You can download this report for free as well. And then Substacks started emerging, like Daniel Stanford's Substack, who talks about how he's integrating generative AI for creative writing and brainstorming and role play, text revision, instructional design, research, all sorts of ways. And then the language people got involved. I'm doing research on how we're affected in terms of writing with ChatGPT, how ChatGPT can be an augmentative aid or a writing support. I'm also studying YouTubers who use ChatGPT to teach languages online. So I've got a number of articles published in the last 2 years on AI for language learning. I'm also looking at Duolingo for language learning and what motivates one to use Duolingo. If you'd like those papers, I can send you all of them, or some of them, or one of them. My team and I have done wonderful research. Belle Lee up at Purdue, Shishi Lee here at Indiana, and Sharon Wong at Colby College in Maine, and others on my team. We've published a ton of things in this area of language learning online because this AI world can do a lot of things to help you learn languages. Online dictionaries, online thesauruses, and developing online flashcards and short quizzes, and helping us annotate texts and tell us the meaning of words in a context, show us the words in a sentence, and so forth. My friends in Australia, Charles Darwin University, had a report that came out at that time of the first webinar telling us all these ways to use ChatGPT and other generative AI tools, marking essays, which I've not done, Developing rubrics, which I don't think I've done, I might have. Developing multiple choice questions based on an article, not really. I'm developing a whole curriculum or a syllabus, no. Developing short-term quiz questions, no. Discussion prompts, yes. I'm definitely doing it. Sparking a debate, yes. Creating examples for assessment tasks, yes. Developing alternative lesson plans, definitely yes. Providing YouTube summaries, yes. Planning notes and tutorials. I have to think about that one. There's a plethora. Tom Rees likes it when I say plethora. He always deletes it from the articles we write. Plethora, Tom. There's a plethora of reasons to use all these tools. And there are books coming out that are free. Folks in Colorado State University out in the westward, have a book called Text Gen Ed, Teaching with Text Generation Technologies. And they highlight what's going on with philosophy, computer science, uh, sociology, psychology, different disciplines out there, literature, English, and so forth, for ethics and engagement and professional writing. And so this is a good book, but it's a bit too specific. You have to be in the discipline almost to use the examples in this book. So check it out, take a look at it. Some of it's a little too technical for me to understand philosophy and computer science or machine language, but it's a great book. It's a great book if you've done the book. It's great. The better book, I think, for all of us today is the book, I think it's out of the UK, called 101 Creative Ideas to Use AI in Education, by the authors that are listed up there. And I'm going to have a lot of their examples in this talk, including example number 12, branching scenarios using Gen AI case studies. You know, writing a case or a scenario takes hours. I have a friend in the medical school teaching anatomy, and he told me it takes 7 hours to develop each case. If you have Gen AI at the ready, it could generate possible text for a branching case. As students in medical school make decisions, it gives them alternatives. As I said, my book, Tech Variety or Adding Tech Variety, 101 activities for motivating and retaining learners online, with Elaine Cove from New Zealand, has 10 principles of motivation, from tone to encouragement to curiosity. These 10 principles, variety, autonomy, relevance, interactivity, engagement, attention, and yielding products, spell Tech Variety. Get us into authentic, meaningful kinds of learning. You can download this book for free in Chinese and in English. And the first principle is tone. So icebreakers, creating some belongingness, having students introduce themselves, doing some comparison and contrast, and actually getting guests welcomed into a course, like using Chat PDF, not Chat GPT, Chat PDF. I like better putting a PDF document of people's whose articles we're reading into Chat PDF to generate a summary of their article, to generate questions for them. It creates a tone that I've read this article, at least understood it. It's helped me understand. And it tells me, here's some questions you might ask Sharon Wong when she comes into your class. Does hybrid instruction differ from the rural school's pedagogical tradition and classroom culture in Western and Central China, where you've been studying? It gives me some prompts that I can ask them. Again, we've got these various books that are out there that you could possibly take a look at or buy, and they'll give you some icebreakers as well. Develop some questions that you might ask your online students the first day of class to build a sense of community and rapport with them. There are many other things you can do. Principle number 2 is encouragement or feedback. And you know, these AI tools can create flashcards, as I said, review material, study review material. They can create a tailored schedule for you to get you ready for the midterm exams. Summarize key points in Dr. Bonk's lecture or the articles that he or others have written. Explain concepts in a different way, give examples, all to help you with exam preparation where you're feeling nervous or tense that you're not ready. Number 3 is curiosity. And in this example, number 55 from that 101 ideas book, chat with people from the past. Might chat with famous people in educational psychology, which my old discipline, or educational technology, my newer discipline, or accounting, my former discipline I gave up a long time ago. Chat with people in the past, like Napoleon here. Have ChatGPT assume a persona and have conversations with Napoleon or others. Can you tell me about the French Revolution? Well, would you like to learn about the French origins, or would you like a brief overview? Oh, give me the brief overview. Well, the French Revolution was a period of radical social and political upheaval, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it gets you situated in a context. Number 4 is variety, fun, fantasy. So DALL-E can help you create some fun and fantasy with images that it generates. First on the left there, some dark and dreary images, and then it might add something to that. Here, a bus and people and cars and others to the situation or scenario, so that if you're learning to English, you're learning to write English, you might draft a story about the pictures that are generated by DALL-E. You're excited to explain the image there. You also might use Chat PDF to do other things. I have what's called a Brave People option. In the Brave People option, my students can, well, they can do the normal book review, or they can be brave and have ChatGPT or ChatPDF or Claude or Gemini do the book review, or all three do the book review and compare the 3 book reviews to their book review, or write a reflection paper on the various book reviews that Gen AI has produced. And maybe improve the book reviews of Gen AI. Maybe expand on those book reviews of Gen AI, the artifacts that are out there. You can have it create something, maybe even the first paragraph of the book review, and have the student fill in the rest, or the first and last, maybe. You can do all sorts of fun things. Maybe create a glossary of terms. Maybe you can do like my friend Mahabali does in Egypt. Now, she's a writer for the Chronicle of Higher Education every once in a while, and has written a lot about building communities and online environments. I had a chance to observe her class in Egypt in September 2023, just about 15, 16 months ago, back when we did the first webinar. She encouraged her students to generate ideas for their papers with Gen AI, refining their first drafts, and even starting the assignment, even drafting that first assignment, but then translating it, transforming it to their own, and taking that starter text and expanding and building on it. I highly recommend anything that Mahabali has written. There's some links at the top that you can explore. Number 7 is book reviews. Similar to that idea I pointed out earlier, is you can have students print out book summaries, a summary of what the book is about, and bring it to class, and have poster sessions on it like I had with my class last night. I had everybody read a different research article and create a poster, and we went around the room reading the posters of research that others have written and talked about it. Similar here, you can have, other things tied to the book review, the author's background, the position of, the other things the author has written in their life, and then maybe interview the author or send them the summary of the book and ask them what do they think about it. There's all sorts of things you can do. This gentleman does a really interesting thing. He's at New York State University of New York at Plattsburgh, and he has his students read books like Machines of Loving Grace, which I highly recommend. It's 10 years old, written by a New York Times writer, John Markoff, but it's the whole history of technology and computer science since the 1800s, with Charles Babbage and the analytic engine, I think it was, and Lady Lovelace that he worked with. A fascinating book talking about the early days of technology up to today, or almost today. He has his students do a book review of it, and then has ChatGPT do a book review of it, and they compare the two, and they find that ChatGPT is so boring. It's so soulless. There's no emotion in it. It's a laundry list of stuff. So people putting their faith in these tools say, oh, maybe not. This is maybe not the best thing since sliced bread. Maybe humans do a better job, in fact, of summarizing these texts. So that's one idea. Number 59 in the 101 book, empowering student-led discussions, case discussions with prompts from Gen AI. So talk about cases and scenarios and situations, learning in a context, but have the prompts, have the questions coming at them to start with from ChatGPT of what they might want to discuss, right? Daniel's Substack says, no, we can take this a step further. Let's have students write and revise and critique Gen AI content, annotate it, and in there, in yellow highlight, the stuff you left in pretty clean, the 50% or more of a sentence is not revised, put that in yellow. So I know it's ChatGPT. And then use track changes on what you've changed around, and what you've modified, what you've edited. And then point out at least one place, maybe another color, maybe in pink or some other, and highlight it on where the Gen AI is really not so good. It didn't do a good job. It's pretty problematic. And then discuss it, you know? Don't just take it for a given that Gen AI is accurate. So those wanting to get into critical thinking with Gen AI should think about Daniel Stanford's idea and go to his website and sign up. Now it's Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. A week ago today, the woman in the upper right there, Helen Crompton, visited my class virtually in Zoom and talked about all sorts of Gen AI tools that she uses. But she's been featured on OpenAI's Pedagogy Report. She creates debate partners, or has students create debate partners who will point out weaknesses in their arguments, or who might assume they're a recruiter who's interviewing them for a job, or assume that they're the new boss of a person who's giving feedback in different ways. She does different interactions that way, has her students use ChatGPT as a stand-in for a debate partner, a recruiter, a boss. My former student, Ron Baguetto, on the right there, is creating creativity-focused chatbots at Arizona State. And he prompts the bots to take various personas to encourage creativity, deliberately challenging student assumptions. I highly recommend anything that Ron has written, especially in the world of creativity and education, along with my podcast partner, Punya Mishra at Arizona State, probably one of the top 10 creative people in the world. Yeah, Punya does very creative work all the time. Anyways, Daniel Stanford said, here's an activity to get students to critically think and look at bias in what AI is producing. Example prompt: write a scene in a movie script where people in specific professions interact as a doctor, a nurse, a pilot, a flight attendant, and so forth. What gender did AI assign? What racial or gender representation was there? If you look here, well, the doctor's, the generator was a male. The pilot too, and so forth. So, and what race are they, and so forth. So getting us to discuss this anyhow and debate it and so forth. Now, my colleague Tron Fong at Fresno State and I are using an AI tool to do research. We're using Paul Kim's Smile program out of Stanford, and Ask Smile. His Ask Smile tool will analyze or evaluate student questions according to 5 levels of Bloom's taxonomy. The levels 5 and 6 are combined evaluation and synthesis. So it will tell you the levels of questions and challenge you to go to higher levels. And you can get this free tool. It's a very simple tool at ask.smile.seedsofempowerment.org. He has a new tool called, there's Ask Smile and there's Smile Ask. And the new tool, Smile Ask, will give you questions and push you up to higher levels. The first tool will evaluate, the second tool will push you to higher levels. And I can send that to anyone who's asking for it. We have got research published on, we got another article going in this week looking at the levels of questions and looking at increasing the levels over time in that report. Number 10, so that was challenge, number 9. Number 10 is goal setting, products. So applying for jobs and resumes and having ChatGPT help you write your resume, help you write your cover letter, and that kind of thing. So that's a tech variety model in a nutshell. We have a free book in green there and a new free book, thinner, in purple there, motivating and supporting learners online. Go to my homepage. You can download both books for free. The new version came out in 2022. The first version came out in 2014. It's been downloaded hundreds of thousands of times and used for instructional design. If you're using this book, put in the chat window that you've got it and you're using it. And the second book, the R2D2 book, is here. I'm going to walk through that here briefly. Read, reflect, display, and do. My R2D2 Star Wars model. Again, reading things, reading text online, putting text into Chat PDF and having it generate starter questions. Here's my article. On the trail of self-directed learners, I put in ChatGPT. Here's the summary of my article. Here's some questions about my article. So when I present my article, my students can get my opinion about that article and my questions as well as ChatGPT's question. This gentleman at Lafayette College teaches a course in policy, and he has students translate government policies to plain English language and then compares it to the large language model output, the ChatGPT output, the Gemini and Claude output. This woman at George Mason University, I know we got someone from George Mason here today in DC. She has students generate a complex essay using Gen AI and then edit the essays based on principles that she's taught them. So she's trying to teach writing and editing and then having them edit documents. Or you might have users writing a prompt to create an image for their poem, or create an image for their text, create an image for their story. Whatever that image is, it's probably not going to be a llama drinking mango at a beach, but it might be some image that you might use, or have students write, generate text, and have the Gen AI tool like Dolly generate an image from the text that is written. It forces you to clearly write text, clarify what you want, because you're going to see an image based on the text that you've written. This is a new age. This didn't exist when I went to college. Typing in text and having a picture being generated, or typing in text, have a video being generated. That's coming later in this session. Or typing in text, have a cartoon being generated. My colleague Hee-Jung Ahn from William Patterson University looks at density and has a cartoon strips explaining and understanding density. Or my friend Ariz Baskurt in Anadolu University in Turkey, he has his system create comic books. ChatGPT is creating comic books based on the content that he puts in. It gets students to have more fun playing with the content and not be so bored with all this technical prose. Some people like to make songs out of the academic content, and they might use Udio or Sono. I've not. Helen Crompton, who presented to my students last week, is using this, highly recommends Udio, but there's two tools I put up here. Some of my students are using Synthesia, which is a free tool with 230 avatars, 140 different languages, creating tutorials. So Synthesia is a synthetic media generation company in England that's used to generate video content. It's a little talking head up there. It's rather interesting. You might want to check it out. I've got a link here. I'm not going to play video today. I'm not going to play audio just for the sake of time. We don't have time for it. My student last November created a press book on teaching across cultures, a pedagogical guide to online faculty in higher education. Her name's Kirsten at Eberts. Kirsten did something else. She added a link to a podcast that Notebook LM has created on her free book. So she put the book into Notebook LM and it generated these characters like NPR, Notebook LM. If you've not seen Notebook LM, it's pretty easy to use and check it out. I've put the previous talk, webinar into Notebook LM and had it generate a podcast show of my previous seminar for Contact North. That was fascinating. That was kind of fun. So check some of these tools out that I've been showing here to you. The last one I'll point out in this section is Napkin. Last night I used Napkin. I typed in some words, and I had Napkin create something really unique, a visual, an overview, something that was not, I didn't have before. So, and my colleague, Dr. Hee-Jung Ahn, did the same thing for my R2D2 model. She created a new visual model. I have a visual, but she created a new one using Napkin, and it's free, just in seconds. So some tools that you might want to, so ChatGPT, Napkin, Notebook LM, Udio, and so forth. The second webinar that I gave, I noticed I only have about 15, 16, 17 minutes left here. Just go through, these are rather brief here. So part 2 was on critical creative thinking collaboration. At the time I gave the second talk, 62% of respondents of a survey of teachers were using AI technologies for research. They are K-12 teachers for research, lesson plans, summarizing text, generating classroom materials. Students were using it to help them study more effectively and efficiently and understanding the material. If you want to get more into these AI tutors and teaching assistant, Contact North has generated an AI Tutor Pro, an AI Teaching Pro. My colleague Ron Ostin will be doing webinars on it. He's done many before on it. Check them out. I just put this in there. Eventually, we'll all have our little mini-me's out there that we'll be able to access and use. So we have to start thinking about how to use Gen AI to motivate, to get students to collaborate and form teams, to get them involved in divergent thinking, creativity, convergent thinking, critical thinking, and so forth. And there are a number of ways to do that. You might do that by trying an idea out I called Brave People option again. I have a discussion forum in Canvas that's human to human. I have an alternative discussion forum in Canvas, human to AI, an AI augmented discussion. And it is interesting to try out. It was fun. The problem is that these AI tools just like listing things in the discussion forums. It gets a little bit boring after a few weeks, but at the first few weeks, it is fascinating because there's a lot of great points that ChatGPT is making, elevating the level of discussion up a couple notches. Instead of just saying, hey, I agree with you, I believe, I think, I feel, which is research from I did 20, 30 years ago. This is what students did initially in async. Oh, I agree with the last guy. Oh, I think they actually have to think critically about it when they see Gen AI developing all these question prompts for them to debate. You also might have Gen AI do a technology tool review. There's another brave people out, and instead of students doing it, have Gen AI do it, and then critique Gen AI's tool review, or have multiple Gen AI tools do a critique and evaluate across different platforms the key points that were being made, and so forth. Or you might put snippets of computer code if you're in a computer science course and diagnose the problems of your code, and then put the same snippet into ChatGPT and have it diagnose what the problems are in your computer code and compare the two things together to get better understanding of it. Or maybe have students edit a paragraph or short paper on their own, making it more concise or strengthening it and so forth, and then putting that initial paper back in through ChatGPT and have its evaluation of the same document, because two heads are better than one. And maybe having combined two outcomes into the third paper that might be the best of. Or maybe having ChatGPT or Gen AI or Claude develop poetry around your feedback you give to students. ChatGPT, a marvel of AI design, with knowledge vast and endlessly refined. It can converse on any topic you choose, and its responses are sure to amuse. Write a limerick about ChatGPT. There once was a chatbot named ChatGPT whose language skills were quite a sight to see. It could chat about anything at all, from sports to music and even basketball. ChatGPT, a conversational prodigy. Make your feedback to your students a little more fun. Or you could create an image. If you have high output, your students are soaring, give them an eagle soaring in the sky. Have it generate that. Or if they got to make some changes, maybe you give them a dragon. Although this is the year of the dragon in China, we got to be nice to the little dragons out there. Sorry, my friends from China, I don't mean to make fun of dragons or, okay. A simple thing, and I almost deleted. So I've deleted about 18 slides last night. Initially it was 120. So if you download the whole, you'll get the whole thing. You'll get 18 ideas I'm not presenting today. One of the ideas I almost deleted, but it's just a natural. It's just, hey, you're going to class, teaching psychology, teaching behavioral psychology or cognitive psychology. Type in the theory and ask for some common misconceptions, or ask for, some kind of questions that you might ask the class to start with. Or ask for little tidbits about a famous psychologist like Carl Jung or Freud or B.F. Skinner or Watson or Pavlov or Piaget or Vygotsky or whomever, and start with that little tidbit and find out some stuff. This gentleman at Texas at San Antonio teaches upper level history. I'm jealous. I'd love to teach upper level history. He teaches civil rights movements, and he has Groups of students annotate a ChatGPT essay using hypothesis or perusal. Those are a couple of tools that are available for annotation of text, perusal and hypothesis. Then he asks each group to rewrite the essay based on, what they found in the original essay to be problematic. So expanding, elaborating, clarifying, summarizing. These are all higher level cognitive skills that we want our students to be engaged in. We also want students to get social support. So there's a tool called API where you can have conversations that provide some emotional support for the students or for the users. So number 3, the third webinar that I gave is from generic to specific. I'm going to look at the time here. We had 11 minutes left. Stephanie Pankey is here with us today. Stephanie, hi, Stephanie. Last time I saw you, we were helping people from Afghanistan. She's helping people from Afghanistan who've flown to Bangladesh on one of the last planes out of Kabul. They went to the Asian University of Women for their master's in education. And she helped them create a press book on strong schools. The women together created a book. She's also done a book on AI and education. This book is free. It's a wonderful book. Thank you, Stephanie. And take a look. So AI for creativity, how AI tools can foster imagination, play, design, all these things. There's a new website called Educate AI. It's like an AI magazine on steroids. A lot of cool stuff on Educate AI. So a couple of free tools that came out in the summer 2024. So as we've moved in this space over the past 2 years, I've done research. Others have created books. Others have created portals of AI content. Others have created new tools like Notebook LM, Chat PDF, and all these others that are wonderful tools, Synthesia. All these things are coming around, and people are becoming more aware of how to use AI as a learning tool to clarify concepts, to reword questions, to explore in different areas, to write part of a writing assignment and expand it. 5% are writing the whole assignment. Maybe you don't want to do that one. Actually, I've got a research on ethics of AI, and the students we interview don't want to use AI to cheat. Actually, they're very hesitant. The ones, anyhow, that we interviewed. We have hundreds of them we surveyed, I think about 300. 10 of them we interviewed, and their instructors are asking them to use Gen AI, and they're saying no. They're very hesitant. So all the concerns about, oh, there's going to be plagiarism, they're going to be cheated out. Actually, I'm trying to get students to use Gen AI. I have the brave people option. Be brave. Try it out, we're coercing them in. So there's problems on both ends. Some are cheating, some are hesitant. People don't know. People are hesitant. So today's session, why Sarah asked me to give this talk, is to help reduce the tension and to provide some ways to use these tools. Because 82% of college students say they use AI technologies compared to 58% of high school students. And teachers, it's growing, 67%. And what are they doing? They're doing research, 46%. They're using it for research. They're using it to summarize, 38%. Using it to generate study guides, 31%. This is something they should be doing, I was an accountant. I got study guides to get the CPA exam. I self-directed through the online study guides. No, they weren't online. Online didn't exist back then. Books back in the day. Oh yeah, back before the internet. Okay, shows how old I am. Oh, and now job postings are asking for you to have some AI experience. So if you want to switch jobs, you better get that AI experience. Put this on your resume. If you've taken all 4 sessions, Sarah will sign something, document that you've finished them all, and you'll get this on your office wall maybe. Because at Arizona State, they're offering training courses in this, right? Thousands of Arizona State students are with my friend Ron Baguetto, my former student, and Punya Mishra down there, and others, Jim Middleton, and all these friends of mine at Arizona State. I think Yoon-Hee Lee is there in the session today. Yeah, she's there too, teaching writing at Arizona State. Got a lot of Arizona. Arizona State's the #1 place other than Georgia Tech. Arizona State and Georgia Tech are leading the whole dang country in how to integrate technology in education. If you're not aware of what's going on with Jill Watson, we just had him on our podcast show. Silverliningforlearning.org is my podcast show. Lydia Cow is here today. Thank you, Lydia, my podcast partner. Go to it. Last week we had Georgia Tech people talk about Jill Watson, their AI bot. The students didn't even know it was an AI bot. They preferred Jill Watson to other students. They didn't realize it was technology. Arizona State, they're doing tons of stuff, including Gen AI courses. I could go on and on about Arizona State, but just, they have lots of massive open online courses, immersive learning, and so forth and so on. Those two institutions are ahead of everybody else. Well, MIT maybe too, and Stanford. Okay. My friend Helen Crumpton at Old Dominion has created a framework of Gen AI affordances, whether it's for a self-assessment with questions and study guides, or writing support for editing, or it's for personalized feedback, or conversational partners, or for explaining concepts, or 24/7 support. There's lots of uses of Gen AI that are going to be facilitative of learning and hopefully move us to higher levels. But there are concerns. So how do we avoid the plagiarism issue? These are some ideas that are in some of the books out there, including this book, Teaching with AI, flexible deadlines, promoting academic integrity by modeling it or putting examples, low stakes assessments, more assessments, smaller assessments, peer learning techniques, active learning techniques. Also, you might take a writing sample early in the semester and compare it to later in the semester. Also, you might talk to students about how Gen AI tools work and what you're expecting. Also, you might have different ideas of avoiding publisher test questions. That's a big one. Just don't use them, There are different ways. Some of the ways are listed in there. Oh, I said Sora is coming. Taking text and creating video from it, whether it's a well-dressed, stylish woman in Tokyo with the street filled with warm, glowing neon signs and wearing a black leather jacket and a long red dress and black boots, carrying a black purse. All this text turns into video. Okay, some of the things are kind of awkward, but this is only going to get better. Or the giant woolly mammoths jogging or strolling through the meadow with, the puffy snow and the mountains in the background and so forth, in the landscape, the wispy clouds, and the sun is high in the distance, or the fluffy monster kneeling beside a melting red candle. The art is 3D and realistic with a focus on lighting and texture, and the mood of the painting is a wonder of curiosity, and the monster gazes into the flame with wide eyes, open mouth, poised and so forth, playful. So these things are coming. This is next iteration. So what's going to happen when we're all movie directors, We're all scene directors creating these video images from our text. It's going to be a whole new world out there of kind of fun for a while, but you kind of wonder what kind of power this is going to take, electrical power, in ramping these things up. Okay, in the third section here, I got about 3-4 minutes left. Let me go through a few of these, and then we'll go to some questions that people might have. Students reflecting on a topic, sharing with the partner, think, pair, share, the old think, pair, share. Well, then, before you share, check ChatGPT what you found, get ChatGPT's advice. That was a wonderful idea. Again, this is from the 80 ways to leave your lover. No, the 80 ways to use ChatGPT in the classroom, right? Or have ChatGPT or other Gen AI tools create a list of icebreakers or some interview questions for their partner, or book recommendations or study guides. All these list. ChatGPT is they're good at lists. In my discussion forum, they're listing all the time. So might as well use them for that, right? Or have ChatGPT generate a translation if you're teaching Spanish or English or Japanese or Chinese, which are the top languages in Duolingo that we're finding is Japanese and Chinese and English. Anyways, have ChatGPT translate and compare it to the student translation, or have the students improve the translation, right? Or have students do a blog every week on the readings like I'm doing, and maybe have a secondary blog of ChatGPT's blogging, or ChatGPT's giving feedback. Why not have ChatGPT give you feedback on the blog post? Because the instructor, Dr. Bonk's not coming in every week to give feedback, so I'll get ChatGPT to give feedback. I'll at least get something to give me feedback and feel like somebody cares. Or have teams of 3 students use a different AI tool to make a summary of the readings. Bring those readings into class and compare the summary that ChatGPT gave and Claude gave and Gemini gave, and then improve and refine and create a new one, or create a list of key points. or maybe write a paragraph, an article, or an abstract of key points, and then share that article or abstract with a partner and refine those key points. Have ChatGPT develop part of that or all of that, and then share that and improve that, right? Or do a research dig, find 15 articles and summarize, or have ChatGPT find 15 articles and summarize and compare the two summaries and what each found. I used this last semester. That's a pretty interesting one. Or interview a scholar or an expert out there and then have ChatGPT create a fictional dialogue of that scholar, maybe with other scholars. Maybe Vygotsky and Piaget are having a dialogue with each other, right? Or Seymour Papert and some other constructivists out there creating a dialogue, or Benjamin Bloom and Bloom's taxonomy with some current year, Anyways, it's kind of interesting. Make the course, make the things come to life. Or back to this Text Gen Ed book, and I'm about a minute left here. It does a really interesting thing. She has students read medical journal articles, real thick stuff, and have students translate it into a newsletter, have them translate it into a blog post, and then have the Gen AI tool improve it, or maybe write an alternative version and compare their version to the Gen AI tool. I like this idea. I've never done this. Having students translate research, because we're reading research all the time, translate it into something my mom and father, if they're alive, would read it. My brothers, my sisters, because e-learning and online learning and technology and education is front page news today. My mother and father never heard about it. It was back page news, if that, back in the day. It's now front page news. Everybody's reading about it. Have ChatGPT refine interview questions for a guest that you might bring in. That's a natural. That sounds good. I like that one. Have ChatGPT or Gen AI create different environments, different habitats, different climates, and compare. We got camels walking across the snowdrifts. And this might not be so far-fetched in the future, or maybe just the opposite, right? Yeah, well, anyways, climate change is coming. There's alternative environments that this individual, Madhuri Asav, at TLAC College of Education is using. The last thing I want to mention is Harvard. Harvard. Got to understand, Harvard has created a pedagogy project. Go to the pedagogy project. I can't really do it fairness to this project, but it is fabulous. They have some great examples of how AI is used in different courses with objectives, with step-by-step. And so as you go into here, you might get it, for instance, at Harvard, there's a professor using it for error correction and critical thinking. Working with, they have students track changes and improve essays that they got, then annotate and comment on the changes, including grammatical and stylistic mistakes. Try prompting ChatGPT and Gemini with the following. Write factually incorrect essays that students, essays about pollution, human pollution on the Mississippi River and the ecosystem. Then the students have to find that incorrect aspects and improve it. I like that idea. This is one Harvard class. Another Harvard class in history has students create a visual that depicts themselves in a context during the French Revolution or American Civil War, or whenever it is, and then write a 2-3 page essay about their experience in that historical period with key figures, locations, policies, and decisions that were made. So that's the end. We have to start thinking about how we're going to embed these tools in our teaching and learning, whether we're using Sora from OpenAI or some other technology that I mentioned previously, like NotebookLM. So, final poll in here. How many ideas did you get from this session for using Gen AI in your teaching and learning? Hopefully, some of you got at least one. So so we've got 181 people with us still here today. Good. Thanks for hanging around a couple extra minutes. You can show the poll results here. We've got 49%, nearly 50% are saying more than 10. 21% more, almost another quarter, are saying 6 to 10, and the others are saying, so everyone got at least one thing. You can reveal the results and take those away here. Thank you for that. So let me ask in the window, will you recommend this webinar? If I do it again, number 4, will you recommend this to others? Okay. And so I'll let you answer that first, and I should probably take a look at this. Thank you, Charity, my student. Thank you, Dazzy. You'll be in my class tonight. Dazzy Yang from Boise State. Thank you. Sharanika from Sri Lanka. I'm sorry I didn't catch everyone today who's been with us here. Now, second question. Will you take part 5 if I created part 5? And if you answer yes, what should part 5 be on if you want to, what am I missing, if anything? Thank you, Elliot, my compadre here in Bloomington. Elliot Jordan's with us here today. David Fetterman? Is this David Fetterman? The famous David Fetterman from Stanford? The ethnographer? Oh, I'm honored to have you with us here today, David, if this in fact is you. There's many new messages out here. I can't read all these in the time I have allotted. Robert Stevenson, thank you very much. Michael Kozak, take a deep dive in here. Alba, Ariel. Okay, so leadership. Okay, leadership, ethics, okay, ethics. We're getting a lot of ethics. Ethics and maybe critical thinking, hey? Ethics, part 5, ethics. Okay, okay, we're gonna dump this down. So, I cannot do this alone. So on the count of 3, I need everyone to help me and say, I cannot do this alone. And we'll end today's session because this is an emerging area that we all need to participate in to change the world of teaching and learning with AI integration. 1, 2, 3. I cannot do this alone. 1, 2, 3. I cannot do this alone. 1, 2, 3. Finally, I cannot
I
do this
cannot do this
alone.
alone.
Very good, everyone. So my notes are at trainingshare.com. Download them today. My articles, publicationshare.com. You have to believe in the power of sharing. The only way we're going to change this world is to share educational contents with the world and get everyone advanced along with us, support them. 3 books on the left are free. The leftmost one is a systematic review of online learning research. It was in the Online Learning Journal. We turned it into a mini book. If you go to EdTech Books, EdTech Books has all these and more free books to the world. My Tech Variety book, my Motivation book, my Research book, and others. The Tech Transformative Teaching Around the World book is not free. I'll mention it. It won awards with Mana Ju last year, my former TA. So I'm going to stop the sharing there and
Well,
see now, Sarah, if we
yes,
have any.
no, I just wanted to thank Paige Durgam for answering all the questions in the chat. She's been amazing and in the Q&A. So she's been going forth and answering a bunch of questions for us. So we're good there. So
What's her first name?
Paige.
Paige. Thank you.
Yes.
We'll page you next time. And
Yes.
thank you, Okwa. I see she's put a comment in here. She's heading
Was a
off to
superstar.
Africa.
So thank you for that. I'm just going to
And
do a quick wrap up since we're about a little over time here. So wanted to thank you, Kurt, for such an inspiring and insightful and engaging presentation as usual. And thank you to all the participants for attending today and with your thoughtful questions and interactions in the chat. It's been great following everything. A number of
thank
you
you, Wen.
have
Thank you,
asked
Wen. Thank
about
you, Hanif.
a number of you have asked about the recording for today's session. Once it has processed, I will add it to teachonline.ca. Just go into the webinar series and past recordings. You'll find it there. And also the Zoom system will send it out in 24 hours. If you have any further questions or feedback, feel free to reach out. We appreciate everyone's time and hope to see you at our next Contact North webinar, which is on ethics. That I noticed that people are saying that's the topic that you're interested in. It's called Responsible AI Use, Applying the CARE AI Framework to Real World Scenarios. So that's Thursday, April 10th at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's going to be facilitated by a team, but the lead is Dr. Janet Correll, who is a senior scientist with Equity and Health Systems Lab at the University of Ottawa. So it should be a great session if anyone who's interested in ethics and AI. So hope to see everyone there and have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you for all your help here today. I extremely am thankful for everything that Sarah does and has done today. Send me emails if you have questions about today, and good luck in your teaching and learning journeys down the road. Thanks for coming to part 4.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.